Let your eyes grow heavy now. A day has passed and your mind no longer needs to hold on. You're about to travel to a quiet kingdom where the air is soft, the stars are bright, and the crown of an ancient king still hums with peace. So settle in, breathe slow, and let the story carry you. Long ago, before iron ships crossed oceans and towers touched the sky, there was a kingdom hidden in the arms of a green valley. Mountains protected it like old guardians, and warm winds sang lullabies through the fields of lavender. The people there called it Eloria, the land of soft light. At the center of Eloria stood a castle carved not from stone, but from jade, smooth green and cool even in summer. It shimmered in moonlight and whispered with age. Birds nested in its windows and vines kissed its pillars. And in this castle lived King Orin, known not for war or riches, but for silence. He ruled not with iron and fire, but with dreams. Each night, while the stars bathed the sky, King Orin would walk the quiet corridors of his jade palace, barefoot and listening. He believed that the walls remembered everything, and if you listened long enough, even stone would speak. Upon his head, King Orin wore a crown unlike any other. It held no jewels, no spikes. It was made of polished white jade and woven silver, crafted by monks who never spoke in a temple high in the clouds. They said the crown was not forged, but dreamed into being. Each time Orin wore it, he felt slower, not tired, not weak, just weightless. Thoughts became like clouds, drifting, dissolving. Decisions came not from force, but from stillness. The crown whispered not with words, but with calm. And the people loved him for it, because they too began to slow. Their fields grew with ease. Their sleep deepened. Their children dreamed sweetly, waking with laughter on their lips. In Eloria, peace was not a treaty. It was a way of breathing. One night, the skies over Eloria trembled with a soft kind of thunder. Not loud, not frightening, but enough to wake King Orin. He rose from his jade bed and stood barefoot on the balcony, the crown resting gently on his brow. The sky shimmered, not with lightning, but with echoes. Something was returning. From the east, a warm breeze carried a scent like old parchment and wild roses. It was familiar. An old friend? A memory? In the silence of that moment, Orin heard the voice of the first king of Eloria, a voice only the crown could recall. Rest is not forgetting, it said. It is remembering what truly matters. Orin nodded, breathing in that gentle thunder. It was not a warning. It was a lullaby from time itself. The next morning, King Orin asked for the gates to the Sleepwalker's Garden to be opened. No one had entered for 100 years. It was a sacred place, filled with trees that only grew at night and flowers that only bloomed in dreams. He walked its soft moss paths alone, birdsong echoing in the distance, each step slower than the last. He paused beneath a tree with silver leaves, closed his eyes, and listened. In the garden, he remembered the name of every citizen he had ever met. Their voices came like warm winds, thanking him, not for gold or gifts or laws, but for the gift of stillness, for the space to sleep, to heal, to be. That day, the king did not return to the castle. Instead, he lay beneath the tree and slept. And as he slept, the vines grew around him like gentle hands, not trapping him, only holding. And the crown rested on his chest, pulsing softly with each breath. Years passed, then decades. The people of Eloria never saw King Orin again, but they never feared, for the dream had not ended. It had become one. Children now played near the sleepwalker's garden, and their laughter was so light it floated like petals on the wind. Elders spoke in low tones, their words calm as river stones, and each home had a small window facing the east, toward the castle, toward the Jade Tower, toward where the king still slept. Some nights, if you listened just right, you could hear him breathe. Soft, slow, endless. Eloria remained untouched by time, not because of magic, but because of memory, because of peace, because someone long ago remembered the power of dreams. Now your eyes grow heavier. You too walk softly through this ancient kingdom. Feel the breeze on your face. Hear the stillness thick as honey. You are safe here. You are welcome. There is no crown to wear, no role to play, only peace, only breath, only the deep ancient silence of the Jade Palace. Let your thoughts drift like petals. Let your limbs grow heavy. Let sleep arrive like a king, quiet, kind, and timeless. This story will keep watching you as you drift. The Whispering Kingdom lives inside you now, and it will always be here when the world asks too much. Sleep well, sleep deeply, and let the Jade Crown rest upon your dreams. Long after King Orin fell into his sacred sleep beneath the silver-leaved tree, Eloria remained unchanged, not frozen in time, but unworried by it. The people still rose with the sun and laid down with the moon. Markets were quiet, soft laughter passed like birdsong in the morning, and fires crackled gently at night, not for fear or warning, but for warmth and comfort. Peace had taken root in the very soil, but deep beneath the Jade Palace, hidden far below stone and memory, there flowed a river. It was not known to most, nor marked on any scroll. It did not roar or crash. It whispered like a lullaby murmured to the bones of the earth. It had been there before the crown was dreamed into being, before the first king walked the land barefoot and wondered at the stars. This river was said to be made not of water, but of time itself. The monks who shaped the Jade Palace called it the river beneath all things. It held dreams too old to be spoken and moments too gentle to be remembered. Some believed the river connected all sleeping minds. Others thought it was the final resting place of every forgotten thought, not lost, but held like feathers in slow water. One moonless night, a young caretaker named Kalin wandered into the palace alone. He was new to the castle grounds, tending vines and polishing the stone tiles with quiet care. His heart was good and his soul was curious. Kalin had always felt that silence was a kind of song, and the castle, though still, was filled with music only he could hear. That night, a dream had followed him from sleep to waking. In it, a voice had called his name, not out of need, but out of invitation. He followed its echo through the long halls of jade, where torches glowed low and shadows curved like soft waves. The halls turned and deepened, and with each step the air grew cooler, more still. Finally, Kalin reached a chamber he had never known. A stone door, mossed and ancient, pulsed with a quiet breath. He placed his hand against it, and it opened, not by force but by recognition. Inside, the sound of the river filled the space like a warm wind through trees. It did not rush. It did not spill. It simply moved, endless, patient, whole. The chamber was empty but for a single pool carved into the ground, and from it rose a gentle mist that smelled of pine, rain, something like sleep itself. Kalin knelt. He did not speak. He did not need to. The river welcomed him without question, the way sleep welcomes tired eyes. He placed his fingertips into the water, and in that moment, he saw it all. King Orin beneath the silver tree, breathing slow, vines resting around him like arms. The garden bathed in moonlight. The dreams of children, the calm of the kingdom, the crown pulsing in rhythm with the land. But more than that, he saw himself not in this moment, but in many, as a boy chasing clouds, as an old man smiling by a hearth, as a dream gently carried by the river, neither beginning nor ending, just floating. Kalen felt no fear, only release. The river whispered, "You are not small. You are part of the whole." And then, gently, "You are home." When he opened his eyes, nothing had changed, and yet everything was different. He returned to the surface with the same careful steps. The halls felt warmer, the stars brighter. He carried no crown, no scroll, no relic, only stillness. From that night on, the caretakers of the Jade Palace took turns visiting the river beneath the throne, not to ask, not to change, but simply to remember. That time is not something to fear, that dreams are not idle, that even silence is full. And sometimes when a storm passed through the valley and thunder rolled gently across the sky like a drum played by old hands, the people would smile in their sleep because they knew the river still flowed, the king still dreamed, and peace still lived in Aloria, not above, not below, but within. Years passed as gently as falling leaves. The seasons turned soft and slow, and Kalen grew older within the stillness of Aloria. His hands, once calloused from polishing floors and tending vines, were now lined with time. But his eyes had grown gentler, not weaker, deep wells of calm, like pools untouched by wind. He had never spoken of the river beneath the Jade Palace, but those who worked beside him noticed something different. A quiet in the way he moved, a softness in how he listened. Children would sit by him for hours, saying nothing, and leave with lighter hearts. Even the birds seemed to settle near him more often, as if resting in the presence of a tree that had weathered many winds. And yet, a calling remained, gentle, persistent, never demanding. It came not from beneath the palace, but from above. Each time Kalen watched the mountains that circled Aloria like guardians, his breath would pause. His eyes would follow the clouds drifting between peaks, and he would remember the old legends of a temple hidden in the sky, a place where silence was shaped into sacred things, and where the Jade Crown was once dreamed into being, and no one knew if the temple truly existed. But Kalen, in the quiet of his own heart, had already decided it did. So, one morning, just before the sun rose, he gathered a small pack, wrapped himself in his softest cloak, and began walking toward the high mountains. He told no one, not out of secrecy, but serenity. This was not a journey for words. As he climbed, the air grew thinner, but sweeter. The higher paths were lined with wildflowers that opened only to the dawn. There were no loud beasts, no threats, only the sound of his feet brushing over ancient stone and wind moving like breath across the world. Days passed. Maybe more. Time softened around him, as it always did when sleep or silence stretched wide. Then, one twilight, just as the clouds turned lavender and the wind carried the scent of distant snowfall, Kalen reached a ridge unlike any before. It was narrow and smooth, as if carved by hands older than memory, and at its end stood a single stone gate, tall, unadorned, but humming with presence. He passed through without resistance. Not because he was strong, not because he was chosen, but because he was ready. Beyond the gate, he entered the temple in the sky. It was not what he expected. There were no towering halls, no golden spires, just an open space where wind, sky, and stone met in perfect harmony. There were no monks, no guardians. Only silence, thick and soft, like velvet for the soul. In the center of the space, a single stone platform rose from the ground. On it rested a circle of woven silver, etched with patterns that pulsed like breath. But it was not the crown itself, it was its echo. The space where it had once been dreamed, and still remembered. Kalen sat before it and closed his eyes, and as he did, something happened, not around him, but within He saw not visions, but truths. That peace was not created in palaces. that crowns meant nothing without gentleness, that the greatest power was the ability to listen. He remained there in that sacred silence for what may have been moments or years. Time once again dissolved. When he opened his eyes, dawn was just brushing the sky with its first light. He stood quietly and bowed, not to the crown, but to the silence. Then he turned and began his journey back down. When he returned to Eloria, the people greeted him with soft smiles. They did not ask where he had gone, but from that day forward, the winds that moved through the valley carried a new note. Not louder, just clearer, like a string being gently plucked in the heart. And in the Jade Palace beneath the throne, the river whispered a name, Halen, not as a servant, not as a king, but as one who remembered. In the heart of the sleepwalker's garden, under the wide and silver leaves of the breathing tree, King Orin still slept. Time had not claimed him. Age had not weathered him. He lay as he always had, one hand resting on his chest, the other open to the sky, as though ready to receive something not yet given. The vines around him had not grown wild, but gentle, guided by an unseen rhythm, as if even they were breathing with him. The garden remained untouched by urgency. Birds sang, but never too loud. Rain came, but always soft. When the wind passed through, it did not disturb, but danced. And at night, the stars gathered closely above Orin, as if watching over an old friend who had wandered into a dream so deep, even the heavens dared not wake him. But something now was changing. Not suddenly, not loudly, only quietly. It began with the tree point one evening, just as the sky melted from lavender to indigo, a new leaf unfolded above the king's head. It shimmered faintly with silver veins, and as it stretched wide, it sighed, not from effort, but from arrival. The sigh stirred the air in the garden, and in that breath, the dream began to shift. Within the king's mind, the endless stillness began to ripple, not like fear, not like noise, but like a memory finally waking up. He found himself not in the garden, but in a soft place between worlds, where sound and thought were as light as feathers and time was not a line, but a circle. He stood at the edge of a lake. The same lake from his boyhood, still, moonlit, impossibly calm, except now it was not made of water. It was made of light. He looked into it and saw not his reflection, but the faces of those who had walked the land after him, children whose dreams he had once held gently in his heart, elders who had passed in peace, caretakers, listeners, walkers of quiet paths, even Kaelin, their faces faded into mist, and then into stars, and then into breath, and then Orin smiled because he understood. He was not separate from them. He had not been dreaming away from the world, he had been dreaming within it. He had never truly left. The stillness of Eloria had not been his legacy. It had been his presence. Even in sleep, he had held the rhythm, the breath, the pause between thoughts that lets all things heal. And now, at last, he was ready, not to wake, not to rule, but to rise. Back in the garden, beneath the tree, the vines gently loosened, not in haste. Only in recognition, the crown that had rested on his chest glowed with a soft light, not bright, but warm, like a lamp behind closed eyes. It lifted slowly and hovered just above his head. The breathing tree bowed ever so slightly, and King Orin opened his eyes. He did not speak. He did not stand. He simply smiled, the way mountains smile when the sun returns after long winter. His eyes carried no urgency, only peace, and though he had not spoken in many years, the garden seemed to hear him all the same. In the language of stillness, he whispered, "I am here." And the wind replied, "We always knew." The story did not end there. It did not begin again either. It simply continued. The king did not return to the palace. He walked through the garden step by step, and every flower leaned toward him in bloom. The birds followed in silence. The crown hovered, weightless, above his brow, shimmering like a memory that never needed to fade. He walked to the edge of the river, not the one beneath the throne, but the one beneath everything. And as he reached the water, the surface stilled. King Orin looked up once more. The stars blinked. The garden exhaled, And then, like mist in morning light, he stepped forward, not vanishing, but becoming part of the breath of the world once more. Not asleep, not awake, just peace. The story had no ending, but the stars, like kind listeners, knew when to fade. In the valley of Eloria, where time walked barefoot and the wind carried laughter, the people lived in slow rhythm. They did not hurry. They did not grasp. They moved like lanterns drifting down a river, glowing just enough to show the way, never rushing to reach the end. The Jade Palace remained, but quieter now, no longer a seat of rule, only a home for silence. In the deepest part of the garden, where King Orin once slept, the silver-leaved tree now bloomed year-round. Its flowers had no scent, yet they brought comfort. Visitors often sat in its shade without speaking, their eyes soft, their breathing slow. Some fell asleep there, dreaming of clouds and rivers and voices without sound. And on the soft stone where the king once lay, there was no statue, no plaque, only a circle of moss where sunlight lingered longer than anywhere else. Children were told stories of a king who ruled with dreams and of a crown made not of power but of breath. They listened with wide eyes, and when they asked where the king had gone, the elders simply smiled and pointed to the sky, or the water, or the quiet place within. In time, the people of Eloria no longer spoke of kings or crowns. They spoke of stillness. They spoke of the river that remembered all things, of trees that breathed with you, of gardens that never asked anything of you, only offered rest. And of how when the night is quiet enough, you can still hear the king's presence, not in words, but in the way your own heart slows when you listen deeply. It was said that he never truly left, because now he lives in you, in the soft sigh before sleep, in the quiet decision to rest, in the moment you set down your burdens and allow yourself to simply be. You are not a visitor to this story. You are part of it. Always were. So now, breathe gently, feel your body become soft. Feel your thoughts slow down like petals floating through twilight air. There is nothing left to do, no more questions to ask, no more roads to walk tonight. Let the Jade Crown rest beside you, invisible, weightless, kind. Let the whisper of the river flow through your dreams. Let the stillness wrap around you like the vines of the garden, never holding you back, only holding you still. And as the last light fades from the valley, as the stars blink gently in the sky above, let yourself drift, slowly, softly, safely into sleep. You are home. You are whole. You are held. The story had no ending, but the stars, like kind listeners, knew when to fade. In the valley of Eloria, where time walked barefoot and the wind carried laughter, the people lived in slow rhythm. They did not hurry. They did not grasp. They moved like lanterns drifting down a river, glowing just enough to show the way, never rushing to reach the end. The Jade Palace remained, quieter now, no longer a seat of rule, only a home for silence. In the deepest part of the garden, where King Orin once slept, the silver-leaved tree now bloomed year-round. Its flowers had no scent, yet they brought comfort. Visitors often sat in its shade without speaking, their eyes soft, their breathing slow. Some fell asleep there, dreaming of clouds and rivers and voices without sound. And on the soft stone where the king once lay, there was no statue, no plaque, only a circle of moss where sunlight lingered longer than anywhere else. Children were told stories of a king who ruled with dreams and of a crown made not of power but of breath. They listened with wide eyes, and when they asked where the king had gone, the elders simply smiled and pointed to the sky or the water or the quiet place within. In time, the people of Eloria no longer spoke of kings or crowns. They spoke of stillness. They spoke of the river that remembered all things, of trees that breathed with you, of gardens that never asked anything of you, only offered rest. And of how, when the night is quiet enough, you can still hear the king's presence, not in words, but in the way your own heart slows when you listen deeply. It was said that he never truly left, because now he lives in you. In the soft sigh before sleep, in the quiet decision to rest, in the moment you set down your burdens and allow yourself to simply be. You are not a visitor to this story. You are part of it. Always were, so now Breathe gently. Feel your body become soft. Feel your thoughts slow down like petals floating through twilight air. There is nothing left to do. No more questions to ask. No more roads to walk tonight. Let the jade crown rest beside you, invisible, weightless, kind. Let the whisper of the river flow through your dreams. Let the stillness wrap around you like the vines of the garden, never holding you back, only holding you still. And as the last light fades from the valley, as the stars blink gently in the sky above, let yourself drift slowly, softly, safely into sleep. You are home. You are whole. You are held. Beneath all rivers, beneath all trees, beneath even the breath of the world, there is a place where silence grows. It does not bloom with color. It does not shimmer with sound. It simply exists, soft, eternal, untouched. In that place, long before Eloria had a name, there was no crown, no throne. The first leaf turned. The first soul dreamed. The jade crown was not built nor forged. It was remembered. Remembered by the world itself when it wanted to remind its children to rest. Now the story is told not through words, but through quiet things. The hush of snowfall before it touches earth. The way shadows stretch long at dusk. The warmth of moss under bare feet. The pause before birds sing at dawn. Even now, perhaps especially now, the jade crown lives on. Not in gold or stone, but in you. In the space between your thoughts. In the breath you didn't realize you were holding. In the way your body softens as sleep draws near. There is nothing to carry now. No more paths to search. No more kings to awaken. No more questions to answer. Just this, the breath, the stillness, the silence. Let it grow around you. Let it grow within you. You are not leaving the story. You are becoming it. And somewhere beneath a silver-leaved tree in a garden untouched by time, the wind turns once more and carries your name softly into the hush of forever. Beneath all rivers, beneath all trees, beneath even the breath of the world, there is a place where silence grows. It does not bloom with color. It does not shimmer with sound. It simply exists, soft, eternal, untouched. In that place, long before Eloria had a name, before kings and stories and crowns, there was no noise, only rhythm, only stillness. And from that stillness, the first wind rose, the first leaf turned, the first soul dreamed. No one ruled this place, no one guarded it. It was not hidden, it was always there. Inside every breath, inside every pause between words, inside every heart that chose to rest. The jade crown was never truly made. It was remembered by the world itself when it wanted to remind its children to slow down, to return, to breathe. Now, the crown no longer sits on any throne. It drifts like mist between the trees. It hums softly in the moss of old stones, curls around the roots of the breathing tree where the king once dreamed. And in that sacred hush, a new kind of story begins, not written in pages, but written in peace. You see, the stillness has always belonged to you. Even before you knew its name, even before you listened for it, it waits, not with urgency, but with patience. It waits in the moment your eyes grow heavy. It waits in the warmth of your own breath. It waits when your thoughts grow quiet and your soul gently lets go. The story is not about a king anymore. It's about you, about how you found the path back to quiet, back to the garden, back to the soft, glowing place where nothing is asked of you, where nothing must be fixed, where you are enough exactly as you are, simply for being here. So now, you don't have to listen anymore, not even to this. Let the voice fade. Let the wind carry away every last word. Let the silence grow in you, soft as moss, warm as candlelight, wide as the sky. And as the stars wheel slowly above the valley, as the garden falls once more into breathless peace, you drift down, past thought, past time, into that stillness beneath everything, where the story began, where the king now rests, where you have always belonged. Sleep now. All is well. All is whole, all is quiet. There are dreams that rise like birds, swift, fleeting, and bright. And there are others, quiet ones that drift downward like lanterns slowly sinking beneath a river. This is one of those dreams. It does not speak loudly. It does not shine harshly. It simply glows soft, golden, weightless, beneath the current of your thoughts. As you drift now deeper than before, you find yourself returning, not to a place, but to a feeling. A warmth behind your ribs, a hush behind your eyes, a sense of remembering something you never really forgot. You are no longer walking through Illoria. You are floating within it. The palace is gone. The garden is mist. The crown is breath. There is only the river, wide, slow, silver with stars. You are the lantern now, not holding light, but being light. A light that asks nothing, a light that moves with the world, not against it. Beneath you, the water cradles everything that ever was. King Orin's final thoughts rest there. So do the dreams of the garden tree, the whisper of the stone paths, and the laughter of wind in tall reeds. They do not need to be remembered, because here nothing is ever lost. Everything is kept gently. You float past memories not your own, a lullaby sung to a child under a glowing sky, a hand resting on another in perfect stillness, an old woman's smile as she watches a falling leaf. They are not stories. They are feelings, and the river carries them all, carries you. And as the current rocks you softer, slower, quieter, you realize you are not dreaming the river. The river is dreaming you, and it will continue to do so as long as you let go, as long as you rest, as long as you drift, as long as you are still. So sleep now, dear lantern. Sleep and sink not down, but inward toward the center of stillness, toward the crown you never had to wear, toward the light you never had to chase. Let the river carry you and dream. There is a garden that dreamed of you long before you knew how to rest, before the weight left your shoulders, before your thoughts quieted, before you even knew the story had begun. It waited, not with urgency, but with patience. Its vines curled slowly across stone, its silver leaves turned softly in the wind, its earth warmed gently under twilight skies, and in its roots a dream waited, not of kings, not of crowns, but of someone like you. Someone who would one day close their eyes, soften their breath, and listen. And now you are here. Not walking the garden paths, but becoming them. You are the stillness between leaves. You are the hush before rainfall. You are the dream the garden once held, and now gently releases like mist into the sleeping sky. You do not need to remember the story anymore. You do not need to hold its shape. You are free to let it blur, to let it drift, to let it dissolve. Let names fade. Let places melt like candlelight. There is no more time here. Only breath, no more beginning or ending. Only now. You are not being told a story anymore. You are the silence that remains when the story is done, and that silence is sacred. It holds everything. It holds you. So as your body becomes heavy, as your thoughts become slow, as your breath becomes deep and warm and soft, let yourself become the garden. The moss beneath memory, the leaf at the edge of light, the dream inside the dream. There is nothing more to know. There is nothing more to hear. Only this: you are safe. You are still. You are loved. Sleep now. Let the garden keep dreaming you. If you're still listening, I wish a very good night. But before that, please subscribe to get me inspired. I'll try to upload more interesting stories regularly. Till then, good night, sleep tight, and stay tuned with Legends Before Sleep.